Hey folks, how you all doing? So we're back home now. We're back from Calgary, as you saw in my some of you saw in my previous video. I did try to make this video on the beach while I was up in Calgary, but the wind was just too chaotic. It wasn't too bad when you're there, but when it comes through the microphone, it's just sounds like a bloody hurricane is happening. Even though it wasn't, the sound quality was terrible. So I'm going to do it now. Anyway, I'm going to be looking at the 4 studio albums by um, Pink Floyd guitarist David Gilmour. I'm no Pink Floydophile. I'm no expert on Pink Floyd. I'm no expert on David Gilmour. I just like what I like, and I'm just going to rank these albums from my least favourite to favourite of the 4 solo studio albums by David Gilmour. There may be some mistakes in this, technical mistakes, bits of factual stuff. As I said, I'm not a huge fan. I wouldn't call myself a huge fan, but I do own his albums, and we'll see how they go. Anyway, at number 4 on my list, no surprises with most people, About Face. His third studio album. This was released, or second studio album, sorry. This was released in 1984. Co-produced with Bob Ezrin. Has that big stereotypical 1980s production. Has that big bombastic Bob Ezrin sound as well. It's no put down of Bob Ezrin or the album. I'm just saying that's what it is. The opening track, Until We Sleep, has lots of soaring guitars in it. Absolutely brilliant in my opinion. Track Murder is a very Pink Floyd sounding track in my opinion. Even though I said I'm not a huge fan of Pink Floyd, do own a few of their albums. To me it sounds like a Pink Floyd song. There were 2 songs on here that were co-written with Pete Townshend of The Who. Love on the Air and All Lovers Are Deranged. The latter, i.e. All Lovers Are Deranged, could quite easily have been a Who song or a Pete Townshend solo song. Great stuff. Blue Light's another one that stands out for me. Very melodic with horns and delays in it. Great track. Only one instrumental on this album. I'm not a big fan of instrumentals, as most people know. I've mentioned it on my channel before. Instrumentals rarely do anything for me. The only artists that I do really connect with instrumentals are Mark Knopfler, because he has that unique sound with his guitar, and David Gilmour. Just can't help but love David Gilmour's guitar work, and it pushes through to bring emotive sounds on his instrumentals as well. He doesn't need lyrics in his songs a lot of the time, in my opinion. Yeah, Let's Get Metaphysical. That's the instrumental on this album. He's in fine form on guitar, as you would expect. Does he ever do a bad guitar solo? I don't know. I haven't heard one. Maybe he does. I haven't heard one. All up, a very good album. 7.5 out of 10 for me, and that's pretty good for the weakest album in anyone's back catalogue. At number 3 for me, this one I thought would rank as my favourite album, but it doesn't. We've got this one here. I just love the album. Look at that. Look at that album cover. Isn't that absolutely brilliant? It's one of those great album covers. It's something that the Pink Floyd guys tend to do really well. I even like Roger Waters' album covers. Pink Floyd's album covers are brilliant, and this one as well. But anyway, number 3 is Rattle That Lock. This is his latest album. He does have one coming out later this year, his 5th one. This was released in 2015. It's a relatively mellow album by what I would consider, from what I've heard of David Gilmour previously in Pink Floyd. But it sounds like a man that has aged and matured, and you can see that on the back cover there. He just seems very reflective. He looks weathered, aged, and reflective on that back cover. That would have made a good album cover, actually, as well. Anyway, lots of different styles on this album. Some jazz and some blues. There's a couple of songs that you could say were almost neo Pink Floyd album tracks. But it is typical David Gilmour at the same time, as you would expect. Robert Wyatt appears on the album. David Crosby, Graham Nash appear on it. Jules Holland appears on it. Most of the lyrics on this album, I believe, were written by his wife. Can't remember her name. Polly, someone, is it? Is that her professional name? Don't know. But it does fit the album. It does fit the style. I know there was a lot of criticisms of that at the time, that, you know, he was bringing in so-called outside help for his lyrics. Like, he's never been a lyricist. He's been a musician. Roger Waters was the great lyricist of Pink Floyd, as far as I'm concerned. But it's nothing too shabby with David Gilmour's lyrics neither. But, you know, here's what it is. Love the way the album is bookended by two instrumentals. Something that, you know, as I said, David Gilmour is exceptional with instrumentals. There's actually 3 on the album, from memory, one about halfway as well, but the album is bookended at each end with instrumentals. Great album, solid album. If you want something that's slightly different to David Gilmour than what you would normally hear, then this is a great album. 8 out of 10 from me. Number 2 on my list, we go to his 3rd studio album, On an Island. You notice there's a couple of similarities between his 2nd and 3rd album, with the birds flying. I don't know. Maybe it's some metaphor for something. Don't know. Anyway, lots of soaring guitars on the opening tracks on this album. Could have been a Pink Floyd track again, you know. But that's like Mark Knopfler. You listen to Knopfler's albums and you go, that could have been a Dire Straits track. You know, there's a couple of Clapton songs here and there, and you go, that could have been a Cream track, for example. But yeah, he's just David Gilmour. He's David Gilmour, and he has a sound, and it is all part of the Pink Floyd sound. Love the hard rocking track, Take a Breath. There's lots of ragged, jagged guitars on there. It's not hard rocking as, say, Neil Young's Crazy Horse would be, but it's fairly hard rocking for David Gilmour, in my opinion. Was listening to the track Red Sky at Night. Really love that song. It's one of my favourite on here, purely because there's saxophone on it. Any track with sax is a winner for me. I don't care who the artist is. Anyway, I was skipping through to see who played it, because it just had a slightly unusual sound style about the saxophone playing. Couldn't find anything. Then I realised you look under David Gilmour's name, and it's one of the instruments he plays. So yeah, quite a pretty good saxophonist as well on this jazzy track. The pick of the album for me is Pocket Full of Stones. It's gentle, it's smooth, and it's mellow. It's just a beautiful song. So yeah, there's great instrumentation on this album, great guitar work, production and songwriting also. Then again, the production is really good on all of his albums, so, and as it is with Pink Floyd, so you know, you can't go wrong. This album comes in at 8.8 out of 10 for me. So any Pink Floyd fan, I guess, would know what my number 1 album is. It's no surprise. Most people would probably say this is as well. I've got friends who are Pink Floydophiles, and they rate this as good as most stuff from Pink Floyd. It's his self-titled debut album from 1978. There's jazz on here. There's bits of jazz fusion. Jazz fusion does turn up in a lot of prog rock type music anyway. There's rock, there's hard rock. Some strong vocals from David on this album as well. Really good. The opening track, I don't know how to pronounce that, Mihalis, Mihalis, I think it's Mihalis. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Brilliant opening track for an album. I find that with the Pink Floyd albums I've got, even the Roger Waters albums and obviously David's albums, opening tracks seem to bang. They hit you straight away. They're very good in the way they create the track listing on albums as well. Very thoughtful. I'm very aware of what the listener is going to hear. Great stuff. Half this album is pretty much instrumentals, half is vocal tracks, but the whole album just flows majestically. It's absolutely brilliant. It's something that fits in well with the Pink Floyd, in my opinion, not being a Floydophile, that fits into that period very well with the other Pink Floyd albums around it. Great album. This sounds like a rockin' Pink Floyd album to me. Really, not the wishy-washy dreamy music, and I don't mean that derogatory, by the way. That's the dreamy music of some of their more mellow stuff. This is really rockin'. It would be a great rockin' Pink Floyd album in my opinion. This one is my favourite solo album by any Pink Floyd member that I've heard. Absolutely brilliant in my opinion. It comes in at staggering 9.5 out of 10. So there you go, folks. 4 albums by lead guitarist from Pink Floyd, David Gilmour. One album just misses out on being a love value. It's got to hit 7.6 for me to love an album. About Face comes in at 7.5, so it just misses out. So very, very good collection of only 4 albums as a solo artist by David Gilmour, but all are well worth the entry price. And I'm looking forward to his new album later this year. I've heard a couple of tracks off it, I believe, and they sound really good. They're mellow, but they're really, really good. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments section below. What do you think of David Gilmour's solo albums? Where should I head from here? As I'm not really a Floydophile, so to speak. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Stay safe. Take care. All for now. Catch you around, and bye, folks.